Chapter 1. Strange Morning. It's been an hour, maybe longer, going on 3 days, I think. There's about 11 of us, still driving. The road is long, narrow, and endless. And all around us, yes, you guessed it, grass. Just green, endless grass. It covered everything, and I mean, you no longer see the houses, because there are no houses, no people, no buildings, no signs, not even behind us. There's nothing, just grass. It's like the planet has decided to take its surface back. And it's, just green grass all around. An ocean. It's so creepy. The road is long. It's the only part left of a civilization at this point. I'm scared it won't end. I can't see its end yet. I don't want to look. We're hoping. I'm hoping for something. I can remember how the day started. I guess I noticed something strange happening before. I'm not sure. But like all stories, it was just like any other day. The night before, my friends had talked about hanging out together. Our friend Lily from school, whose parents were planning to be out for the weekend, mentioned her place. Her house was perfect. It was large and just about right for throwing a big party. The house was the biggest one I've seen in the block. I guess her parents were wealthy, and this place had everything. They had a large Olympic-sized pool with additional buildings on the property. Anyway, the day started like I said, normal. When I awoke, the house was quiet. I think by now my parents had already left for work. Usually, I could hear the TV, but today I couldn't hear anyone. I found that strange, but I figured my mom had probably been running late and had just left. Dad had complained before that no one was watching the TV, so maybe he must have turned it off. Slowly, I wandered downstairs and into the kitchen. I picked up my phone off the counter and started scrolling social media, but it seemed like either the internet wasn't functioning properly or there was a problem with the app. Facebook appeared to be functioning similarly to other media apps, but strangely, nothing was updating. It just wasn't responding. There was nothing wrong with the lights. They were working. But it was as if the world had gone silent. Whatever, I huffed. I got some orange juice, and as many times as I tried to get online, I couldn't. I figured it was probably the reason my mom had been late. Anyway, all the clocks were the same. None of the clocks had changed. They seemed almost stuck on a single hour and minute. Creepy. Okay. Halloween was coming up, and I was looking forward to Lily's party, so a little weirdness wouldn't put me off. I got my orange juice, had a piece of toast, and even though I had no idea what time it was, it looked like I needed to get going. So, I got my backpack and hurried out the door. I tried my phone again, but it was still acting weird. As I mentioned earlier, there didn't appear to be any issues with it. It just wasn't dialing or texting. It was just acting strange. Not failing, but not working. Weird. Immediately as I walked out, I noticed how quiet it was outside. I mean, there were no sounds whatsoever. Usually, you hear a car and a siren in the distance, or even a dog barking from a neighbor's backyard. But there was nothing. As strange as I found everything, I just began my walk to the bus stop. I knew that Zoe, James, and even Peter would be there waiting. I was dying to talk about the party at Lily's place. We all had our ideas for the costumes we were planning to wear, and we wanted to either make it a group thing or at least have some kind of amazing plan to win the contest. As I walked, I noticed the neighborhood seemed a little smaller, if that made sense. I don't know. what was happening at the far, far distance where I knew a new road was being built? I couldn't tell. That end led to another side street, which became an interstate. All I could see was green, which didn't make any sense. The sun was out, the clouds were thin, and it all seemed like a clear, beautiful day. When I approached the stop, Zoe and James were all just standing around talking and looking about. It looked weird. They almost appeared like two scared kids nervously hiding from the boogeyman. I just wanted to scare them. The day was beautiful, not a cloud in the sky as I approached. I could see Zoe and James were so deep in conversation that they hardly even noticed me until I was within a foot of them. "Hey guys." They turned to meet my eyes. I expected smiles or excitement from their voices about the party. I mean, I suspected that's what they had been discussing. However, it turned out to be entirely unrelated. They looked startled to see me, almost surprised. I stared back. "You guys okay?" They didn't say anything at first, but when they realized it was me, I guess they slowly nodded. I just gave them a curious look. "What's up?" They both looked at each other, then James began to speak. "Did you notice anything strange?" I laughed, shrugged off, and smiled. Was I supposed to? I thought. "No, why?" Zoe looked scared, while James seemed to be looking around. "Maybe just a little," I then said, recalling the phone and the internet connection. "My phone is acting funny, and the internet is on, but it's not working. So, besides my parents not waking me up, nope." I scrunched my nose over at them, wondering what their deal was. "Why? What's up, guys? You look like, well, you've seen a ghost." Zoe rolled her eyes. It was so close to Halloween. Well, it was a poor attempt of a joke. "So, you haven't noticed anything weird or weirder?" "No, not really. Why, what's up?" "Well, you tell him, James," Zoe said, a little uneasy. James hesitated as he turned towards me. As he turned to me, I took a moment to survey our otherwise normal neighborhood. It was quiet. Strange that Mr. Johnson hadn't come out to get his paper. When I looked, it wasn't even there, so maybe I had missed him. Also, the morning cars that usually pulled out of their driveways were gone this morning. But that could be easily explained, being that it was a work day. Other than that, I mean, it was super quiet. "Well," James said, "beside the odd quietness, my parents weren't home this morning. They're usually good about waking me up. I got up to an empty house." Not strange, I thought, as I gave him a crooked smile, echoing my thoughts. "Zoe said the same happened to her." She nodded, holding tightly to her books. "So, we had bad parents who didn't want to interact with us, okay?" I just laughed it off. "Then there was the walk here. I mean, we haven't run into a single person. Usually by now, we see Mrs. Eckerson or even Mr. Morrison. He's always up walking his dog." I shook my head, smiling again. Maybe it was strange. "So Mrs. Eckerson got up late or early, and Mr. Morrison, well, maybe he had to take his dog to the vet. Didn't I hear him say that last week?" I said. Zoe was staring at her shoes the whole time, squeezing her books tighter onto her chest. Her lips were inward, as if she were biting them and holding back from saying something. James looked back down the street. I did the same, silently. When I looked further past a few of the houses of our neighborhood, I saw something green that I couldn't quite tell what it was. "But you haven't heard the worst thing about it, the part James hasn't mentioned." I blinked away and over to her when she spoke. James did the same, nervously shifting in his spot, as if he were filled with anxiety. I was a bit myself, looking at the watch on my wrist that hadn't changed or moved from 6:50 a.m., which was strange, since it appeared to be later than that.
Well, when we walked by Peter's house, we waited outside. As usual, we waited like we usually do.
James nodded and blinked at me while Zoe continued her conversation.
We waited and waited. Finally, James walked up to the door to get him. He knocked and waited again. Nothing.
So he overslept, I said, looking down the street towards Peter's house, waiting to see him racing towards us. But nothing.
Yeah, we also thought so. And we knocked and knocked again, thinking that maybe he was still asleep or that he was in the bathroom. We called to him, but nothing. Finally, James said, I tried the door, and it was open.
So?
We wanted to go in,
Zoe said. I just observed her eyes when they darted down the street towards Peter's house, like something would come race towards us. She was trembling, and her lips quivered as she spoke. Her eyes were filled with genuine fear as she spoke those words. And I felt like I was there, opening the door and looking in. Just as she said that, I investigated the quiet, dimly lit houses around us as I could imagine they had.
We called out, but nothing,
James said.
Well, did you go in?
I asked with growing anticipation.
No,
Zoe said.
Why?
I asked, now with more curiosity and apprehension.
I don't know. It's strange, John. There was something. I don't know.
Something, I joked back.
I don't know how to explain. It felt like something, not just someone, was there, but something.
I rolled my eyes. Yeah, Peter was punking you guys. He's probably heading this way, laughing his butt off, surprised he got you guys good.
No, it wasn't Peter,
James said. Zoe shook her head.
If you were there, you would know what we mean.
Okay, I said, trying to brush the uneasiness off. Regardless, we all checked the time on our phones. The same time was reflected on my phone screen, 6:50 a.m., but we all knew it was much later than that.
What the hell?
I muttered, putting the phone to my ear as if that would make a difference.
I know,
uttered James, staring back at me.
It's late.
James was the first to say.
This makes no sense,
Zoe said, with a little tremble in her voice. I know, I agreed.
The bus should have been here already,
Zoe said, looking down the road. She flinched, and I knew what she saw. Something that looked like green. It's like we all knew it was there, but didn't want to say a word about it.
I don't think it's coming,
Zoe said, not addressing what she had seen further down the road. She looked up. There was worry written all over her eyes. I think we should call someone. I lifted my phone and I remember. Oh yeah, that.
Well, I don't want to go home alone,
Zoe said.
Yeah,
James agreed, but he didn't want to admit he was scared. They both stared back at me. Since I was the only one with a PS5, I decided maybe my place was the best.
We should stay together,
Zoe said in the silence.
Yeah, maybe until we figure out what's going on,
James answered. What's going on is the bus is late, James. That's it. Unconvinced, he just rubbed a hand at the back of his neck. Okay, we can stay at my house. It was then I saw the green at the far other end of the street. It was still too far to tell what it was or make it out, but it was close enough to tell it was green. What the hell was that? I wondered.